I'm Chris, you're watching FRAG-MENTAL, thank you for joining me. If you're thinking about buying a new fragrance and you just don't know where to start, or you're thinking about starting a fragrance collection from scratch, in today's video I've got 6 awesome fragrances that will be perfect to kickstart your collection. Stay tuned. A few years ago, I remember finishing a bottle of fragrance that I was using and I needed to buy some more, but I made the decision that I didn't just want to buy one fragrance, I wanted to buy a small collection of fragrances just to have a little bit more choice. I went into a local department store and straight away the essays are on you and you feel a little bit pressured. And I kind of wanted their help because I didn't know where to start, but they ended up pushing a recent fragrance release on me that they wanted to get some sales on, and I remember that I wasn't really happy with that fragrance. So for about 6 months I was using a fragrance that was okay, but I just wasn't really that happy about. And from that point I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore. I started watching YouTube videos, I started doing my research, I started sampling fragrances. I remember watching videos like these which I found really useful, so I could go into the department stores, I could try the fragrances, I could use perfume parlor to try imitations of the fragrances and then really have an informed decision about which scents I wanted to buy, rather than having no idea and being pressured into buying something I didn't want to buy. So in this video I've got 6 fragrances that I would love to recommend to you. If you're starting out a collection, then I think these would be perfect. If you've already got a very well established collection, maybe there's a few here that you don't own, so please take these as recommendations. Now these 6 fragrances aren't necessarily the top 6 designer fragrances in my collection, but I think they're fragrances that would be great for someone starting out on a collection. So let's get into it. One of my favorite designer fragrances that I just love wearing every single time is Chanel's Allure Homme Sport Eau Extrême. This is easily one of my favourite designers. It's incredibly satisfying to wear, it's mass appealing. So it's got a sweet fruitiness, there's a bit of spice in here, a little bit of a herbal accord, but these livelier notes are balanced really well with some smooth, sweet base notes. So there's tonka bean, quite a lot of tonka bean in this, and some creamy sandalwood. When you buy this fragrance, you are investing in the quality of Chanel. And houses like Chanel, Dior, one thing that they are great at is maintaining fantastic quality across their ranges, and this one is no exception. Please don't be put off by the fact that this has sport in the name, because it certainly isn't a fragrance that you would only wear in sporty situations. Sure, if you want to wear it to the gym, no problem, it works. It's very classy, very sophisticated, very well put together. This is an example of a fragrance that was recommended to me, and then I bought the imitation from Perfume Parlor. If you've never used Perfume Parlor, great way to try new fragrances. You can find a link below this video in the description. So I bought a 13ml sprayer, cost me what, £5. I drained that, I used it all, loved the fragrance, so decided for me it was worth investing in Allure Homme Sport Eau Extrême. One of the best things about this is its versatility. You can just wear it all year round. It's one of those fragrances that will work as well in the winter as it will in the summer. In terms of occasions as well, super versatile. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. Performance is pretty good for me on this. I'm getting around 7 to 8 hours longevity, and in terms of projection, the initial projection, it's around about 2 hours, so I'm really happy with the performance of this. If you're the type of person who doesn't mind getting the odd compliment now and then, who doesn't? Then this is the kind of fragrance that is very mass appealing to those around you. So it's projecting enough for those around you to smell. It's a very, very pleasant, easy to love kind of scent profile. So yeah, you might get a few compliments of this. Obviously no guarantees, but it is the type of fragrance that could potentially pull you in a few compliments. It's not the cheapest. Chanel, because of the quality that they have, don't offer their fragrances at such a low price, and it's not that easy to find them at discounters. So for 100ml of Allure Homme Sport Eau Extrême, you're going to be looking at paying around £90. This is a 50ml bottle, but the 100ml is around £90, obviously a little bit cheaper for the 50ml, but overall you're going to get better value with the 100ml bottle. So this fragrance, I absolutely love it. It's classy, it's refined and playful. Great juice. Moving on to the next designer fragrance, we're leaving Chanel and we're going to another great designer house of Dior. This is a fragrance that I always think represents the modern man, the well-dressed, the sharp-suited, sophisticated modern man. And by modern, I mean someone who's got those confident, assertive qualities, but also a sensitive side as well. A modern man who's in touch with his sensitive side. So the fragrance I'm talking about is Dior On Intense. So this is a confident man dressed in a sharp suit, really well put together. I absolutely adore this fragrance. You might want to sample it first if you've never smelled this before, because it's built around this note of iris, which is a floral note. And if you've never smelled iris in a fragrance before, it's sometimes described as a little bit lipsticky and makeup-y, and you do definitely get that here. Some people may have an association with more feminine type fragrances because of that iris note, but it all depends what your associations are. Personally, I feel that having this sweet floral aspect in there, in a roundabout way, sort of enhances your masculinity if you're a guy and you're confident enough to wear this fragrance. So if you can pull off the iris note, then I think it's going to work really well for you. But it's not all about the florals, it's balanced really well with a cacao note, so it's got this really luxurious, sensual appeal at the same time. I get great performance off this. It's going to last me 8 to 10 hours on my skin, and then the initial projection is around 2 to 3 hours. Again, it's fairly versatile. I think you could wear this with a white t-shirt and jeans during the daytime, or you could wear it dressed up for a formal occasion or even for a date night. And personally, maybe not everyone agrees with this, but here in the UK, due to the climate we have here, I can pretty much wear this all year round. I would avoid wearing it on the warmer summer days because it is a very strong and potent fragrance, and it might just get a little bit too cloying if you spray this on warmer days. So maybe cooler summer days or just cooler days in general, this one is gonna work really well for you. For me, this is sharp, sophisticated and assertive. Again, as with Chanel, it's difficult to find Dior really cheap, although you can find them a little bit cheaper on some discounters. The 50ml that I'm holding here is going to set you back around about £60. So not the cheapest fragrance out there, you will find cheaper, but again, in my opinion, well worth it. The next designer house I'm going to talk about is a house that is really bringing out some very solid fragrances. I own a few, but I definitely need to get more because I'm really impressed with what they're releasing, and the prices that you can pay for this house are cheaper than some of the other designer houses like Dior or Chanel. This is a fragrance that is often described as the perfect office scent, the perfect safe scent, and sometimes that might sound like it's just a boring scent. I used to think that until I'd smelled it, but it is most certainly not. It's Prada Long. I think this one is described as safe because it's just such a gorgeous scent that you're pretty much guaranteed that anyone around you who smells this is going to find it really nice. It's not challenging, it's not too complex, it's just very mass appealing, but it's so beautiful. Please don't think that the way some people describe this fragrance, it might come off as just a little too safe and a little too generic, a little boring. It is really well done. I think this is a very high quality fragrance. So it's iris again, but it's a little more powdery, not quite as prominent, not quite as strong as it is in Dior On Intense. So that may suit you if you feel like Dior On Intense is a little too floral for you. It's got a little bit of spice in it. The cardamom in here is absolutely beautiful. In terms of versatility, this is one of the kings of versatile fragrances because it's just got that scent profile that suits all occasions. So it would work in the office as a casual scent, as a formal scent, as a date scent. You can just wear this whenever. It even works pretty much in all seasons. So if you're in warmer temperatures, go a little bit easier on the trigger in warmer temperatures because it isn't quite a freshie. But for me personally, it still works on warmer days and it just works really well on colder days as well. So it's very easy to wear, very mass appealing. It's quite a simple fragrance, doesn't come across as having a lot of complexity, but sometimes less is more. I get good performance off this as well. So I'm getting around 2 hours of decent initial projection. The longevity of this one is great. It lasts on my skin for around 8 to 10 hours, it dries down to be a beautiful skin scent. So overall, when you consider the price of this, I'm really happy with the performance, really happy with the quality here. For 100 ml, you're going to be paying around £50, so that represents really good value. It's crowd pleasing, it's confidence inspiring, it's just a beautiful scent to have in your collection.
Join the Scent Geeks every Monday as we podcast about all things fragrance. You'll find us anywhere you can usually find a podcast. Links are in the description below this video. See you there, geeks.
Next up is a fragrance that works well all year round, but for me excels in the summer. So my signature scent for many, many years was Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male. I love this one. I think just as much it's really grown on me over the last couple of years. I can highly recommend. From Jean-Paul Gaultier, it's Le Male au Fraiche. I just adore wearing this one in the summer. I have the Superman bottle here, but it also comes with Popeye on the bottle or Andre the Sailor. Whichever edition you get, it's the same juice inside. To my knowledge, it's not been reformulated, so you're good there. So this smells like Le Male, but it has more neroli, more mint, so it's definitely a fresher, brighter version of the Le Male DNA. I think it's a little more refined as well. I think Le Male can be quite a loud, brash fragrance. I think this is a little more dialed back, a little more sophisticated. It's also got this lovely, sweet bubblegum accord to it, which never becomes too much, it's never too sweet, never becomes too cloying. I really enjoy that about this fragrance. It's uplifting, it's invigorating, which is why it works so well on summer days. It's a fun, upbeat fragrance. It's perhaps not as sophisticated as some of the other fragrances on this list, but sometimes you're just in the mood for a fragrance that has good, fun vibes, and this one certainly delivers. In terms of performance, I get around 6 to 7 hours, so it's not the longest lasting. Sometimes that's the compromise you make for lighter, fresher fragrances. So around 6 to 7 hours on my skin, but I'm getting around 2 hours of initial projection, especially if you spray it on your clothes as well. It's going to last a little bit longer. It's bright, it's fun, it's refreshing. It's not too expensive. You can pick a 125ml bottle up for around £50 on discounters, so pretty affordable. The next one isn't quite as versatile as some of the others, but this one works amazingly well in the colder months. It's a little bit addictive. It's got tobacco in it, which is probably my favourite note in fragrance. It's Mugler's Pure Havane. So compared to the other ones on this list, this one is just taking a little bit of a tentative step towards slightly more complex, darker fragrances. So a lot of people associate fragrance with kind of fresh scents. This certainly is not fresh, although it does have a great lively feel to it. The main thing you're going to get when you smell this is cherry tobacco and honey, which is just divine. So if you're new to fragrances, like I was a few years ago, and you thought, why would anyone want a fragrance that has tobacco in it? Well, forget about tobacco related to smoke that you might smell from a cigarette or from someone's pipe. It doesn't smell like that. It's got that sweet resinous smell, sweet woody resinous nature that you might associate with tobacco before it's been smoked. If you're not sure about the note of tobacco in fragrances, if you think it might be a bit weird, I know I did a few years ago, all I would say is give this one a try, and there's a good chance it might change your mind. It's still fun and uplifting and lively, but it's balanced with some darker sensual notes, so it's just a really well balanced fragrance in my opinion. And it's good to have a fragrance that is a little bit different, a little bit darker. You might be in the mood for that sometimes. For me, this one works really well in autumn or in winter, or as an evening scent when maybe you're a little bit more casual in the evening. So something like Dior On Intense is perhaps a little more refined and sophisticated when you're wearing a sharp suit. But if you're just going out for an evening and you're a little bit more casual, Pure Havane just works every single time for me. Performance for me is great on this. I'm getting 7 to 8 hours overall longevity, and then the initial projection, so the scent bubble that it gives off, is around about 2 hours. So I'm really happy with the performance of this. I'd say avoid wearing this on warmer days. It's probably going to be a little bit too much, so save it more for the evenings or for cooler days. It's lively, it's mass appealing, it's absolutely delicious, and at around £40 for 100ml, one of the best value fragrances out there. So I'm gonna let you in on something here. When I compiled this list last night prior to filming it today, it was 5 fragrances. I just thought 5 was a good number. And then overnight, something was playing on my mind and there was a fragrance that I just had to include in here. I thought we needed a Fraiche. I know we had La Mal Eau Fraiche, but I wanted a more classical, typical citrus Fraiche. And for me, this is absolutely one of my favorites. So this is one of the quintessential summer designer fragrances that works for me. From Dolce & Gabbana, it's Light Blue Eau Intense. This one is just so invigorating. When I smell this, it just makes me think of clear blue oceans. It's got a bit of a salty marine accord in there, but balanced beautifully with the citrus, which in here is mandarin and grapefruit. But it's got quite a density to it. It's got a thickness that a lot of bright citrusy fragrances don't have. So for that reason, I think it lasts a little bit longer. Again, it's not going to last quite as long as some of the more complex fragrances like Dior On Intense or Pure Havane. So this one really is a summer fragrance. You could wear this in the winter, you could wear this indoors in an office, but in colder temperatures, it's not going to hang around as long as some of the other ones. But on a beautiful hot summer's day like it is outside today, hey, maybe I'll wear this one today. This might be my scent of the day. This one just works an absolute treat. It's clean, it's classy, it's sophisticated. Performance is okay for a Fraiche. I get around 6 to 7 hours longevity, and then I get around 2 hours initial projection, a little bit more if I spray it on my clothes. So for a fragrance that smells bright and invigorating and fresh, I'm happy with that. Again, very affordable. You can pick this up at discounters all over the world. I just had a quick look before I filmed this, and you can find this on All Beauty here in the UK. They're selling this 50ml bottle for £32. So a great fragrance to have in your collection, particularly if you're starting to build a fragrance collection. So there we go, 6 fragrances that I think are ideal to kickstart your fragrance collection. I tried to get a good variety, tried to have some great versatile fragrances that you can wear at any time, some darker fragrances and some brighter, fresher fragrances. So hopefully I've got you covered. I know it's difficult to go and smell these at the moment because we can't get into stores, but hopefully at some time in the not too distant future we can get into stores and we can get our noses on these. So do try them out, and if you like these recommendations then I'm sure you'll enjoy them. They will be very worthy additions to your fragrance collection. And if you've already got a big fragrance collection and you don't own any of these, what are you doing? Get them in there. You can still sample even without going into a store. There are sites online like fragrancesamplesuk.com, so you can buy small samples of probably all of these fragrances and try them out. Spend time at home, getting to know them, see if you like them, and then maybe when stores are open you can get out there and you can add them to your collection. So I hope this has helped. I hope it gives you a bit of guidance. As I said, I know that a few years ago I was in a position where I had no idea what I wanted to buy next, so I found videos like this really useful. So if you found it useful, then that's great. If you own these fragrances and you have opinions on them, I'd love to hear from you. Drop some comments down below. If you want other recommendations as well, I'm happy to provide those if you want to ask me in the comments. This is just a selection of fragrances that I picked that I thought would be a good way to start a collection. I have many more fragrances here that would work equally as well, but these were the 6 that I settled on for this video. So if you want any more advice, drop me a comment. I'll do my best to get back to you. So there we go. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching. Remember, keep tuning into FM and keep smelling good.